Tragic mistake is what he has called it. After Israeli strikes killed 45 Palestinians in a refugee camp, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing international criticism, with even Israel's closest allies expressing outrage at the death of the displaced civilians.
ברפיח כבר פינינו כמיליון תושבים בלתי מעורבים. ולמרות המאמץ העליון שלנו שלא לפגוע בבלתי מעורבים, קרתה לצערנו אמש תקלה טרגית. אנחנו חוקרים את המקרה, אנחנו נסיק את המסקנות, כי זו המדיניות שלנו.
Now, according to the Gaza Health Ministry, the strike pushed the overall Palestinian death toll in the war above 36,000, including civilians as well as those who are fighting in the war. As per the Israeli military, its air force targeted a Hamas compound in Rafah using what it calls precise ammunition and on the basis of precise intelligence. The strike eliminated Hamas's chief of staff for West Bank and another senior official responsible for the deadly attacks on Israelis in the past. The strikes, remember, came after Hamas fired a barrage of missiles at Tel Aviv. Now, even as Israel faces scrutiny in the top courts of the world, it keeps reiterating that it adheres to international law. But even as Israel called it a mistake, its offensive in Rafah still continues as we speak, leading the world to rethink if there's any space that is safe for the refugees. Rafah, the southernmost city of Gaza on the border with Egypt, has been designated as an area for the displaced. But clearly, it's not. Hundreds of thousands are packed into tent camps in and around the city. Children, women, elderly, living in small tents, struggling for humanitarian aid. The airstrikes burnt the tents, and as per reports, people's bodies are burnt and they're melting. The UN Security Council is set to convene an emergency meeting today. But the question is Israel willing to listen? And is Hamas willing to stop the barrage of missiles? Let me get in my guests on the show tonight. I'm joined by Dr. Eyal Pinko. He's a former intelligence officer and a cyber and national security expert. I'm also joined by Palestinian journalist Daud Kutab. Good evening and welcome to both of you, gentlemen. Let me start with you, Mr. Kutab, first. The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has said that this was a tragic mistake. Are the Palestinian people and the government in Palestine buying that statement?
Of course not. The Israelis have always covered themselves up by saying mistakes, by they wasn't planning to do this, or blaming it on, always blaming the victims or claiming it to be a mistake. This is a genocidal war that is cutting off food and water from people, that is killing innocent civilians, that is even refusing to accept the demands of the International Court of the American allies. This is a war of revenge. Israel has been in war of revenge for the last 7 months and has no plan to end this war, killing innocent civilians. You said some of them are civilians. The majority of those killed are civilians. It's not some of the 36,000. Almost 15,000 children are among those. There is almost 70% between women and children. So we have a situation where there is a revenge war going on, and it's not against Hamas, it's against the Palestinian people. Also on the West Bank, we have 500 Palestinians killed since October 7th, 14 Palestinians in jail, held by Israel, under their responsibility, have died in jail.
Can I also ask you, Mr. Kutab, at this point, that absolutely that Israeli strikes were condemnable, they were uncalled for, but then what explains the previous barrage of missiles that the Hamas had targeted at Tel Aviv?
Oh, they have, what choice do people under attack have? That's the self-defense. Palestinians are oppressed. The occupier doesn't have a right to self-defense. It's the occupied who have a legal right for self-defense. The barrage of missiles did not cause a single death or injury in Israel. But Israelis make a big deal about this because they don't want to have a ceasefire. Have a ceasefire and no barrage of missiles will come, and Israel has to get out of the West Bank and Gaza.
Okay. Dr. Pinko, do you want to respond to Mr. Kutab? The fact that there was no casualty when that barrage of missiles came in at Tel Aviv and Israel is just making a big deal out of it. That strike in Rafah, in fact, has killed innocent people, displaced people who were there thinking that they are at a safe place in what is designated as a safe place for the displaced?
Yes, I will be happy to say the things and the truth as it is. Hamas ISIS conducted an attack against Israel on October 7. The Hamas terrorists killed almost 2,000 Israelis, butchered them, not only killed them. And the prisoners that Israel is holding, they are not innocent Palestinians, they are Hamas terrorists, which they should be in prison. This is one. Secondly, and there are many proofs, videos and footages which were presented to the world showing that Hamas is using all the Palestinian infrastructure in the Gaza Strip. I want to mention that the journalist that is here on the call saying that there is an occupation. The Gaza Strip is not occupied. The Gaza Strip, as the parts of Judah and Samaria, is under those two territories is under Palestinian Authority. This is their own place. This is not Israeli place. But they're claiming again that this is occupation. Why it's occupation? Because they see that Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, Haifa, and all the other cities should be Palestinians and not Israeli. This is what is behind occupation. So when Hamas is using schools, hospitals, kindergarten as the shelter, they put inside all their ammunition, all the, we just covered 2 days ago that UNRWA, the UN organization, is putting below the ground, below hospitals, below UNRWA facilities, they are putting ammunitions, weapons, etc., etc. So, once they are firing rockets from these places, they are firing rockets from kindergarten, they are firing rockets from hospitals and from buildings, Israel is striking back over there in a very precise way. What happened in this, the last case, that also was published and pictures were published, that below the infrastructure of this building, there was a huge ammunition storage, which we didn't know about it. Israel didn't know about it. And once the Israeli bomb was attacking this place, which the rockets were fired from, and you said it very nicely, the storage became, the explosive came out of this storage. So this is something that is because there is no secure place in the Gaza Strip, because below the secure places, the Palestinians are putting their ammunition. Once again, this is not occupation. This is a territory that was and still is under Hamas
Dr. Pinko, then, help me also understand what happens when Israel strikes again and again and the Rafah route is not open. Humanitarian aid is struck. It is stuck and it is not able to reach those who desperately need it.
Yes, this is not true, by the way, because humanitarian aid are being supplied to the Gaza people from the sea and from the land from Israel. And this is being taken and controlled by Hamas that leave it for their hands. And you can see the pictures from that. This is very interesting, by the way, to see that from Egypt, they're not getting any type of help, and nobody say anything about that. So, according to the law of war, Israel don't need to give them any supply. This is a war. This is terror organization that killing and butchering Israelis, firing rockets towards Israeli cities even this week. And Israel give them, this is insane, Israel give them water and energy and medical supplies and food. They're giving that by Israelis. They're killing Israelis and Israel give them back all the supplies. This is insane. And I don't remember, by the way, any case
Let me get in Mr. Kutab on this.